Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, President Abdelmajid Tebboune has received a telephone call from his Palestinian counterpart, Mahmoud Abbas, in which President Tebboune reiterated Algeria's constant positions and its continued support for all international efforts aimed at bringing justice to the Palestinian people, enabling them to recover their legitimate rights. Algeria celebrates today the International Day for Mine Awareness in line with its commitment to achieving the humanitarian objectives of the Ottawa Convention related to the ban on anti-personnel landmines. The UN deplored the increasing number of cases of children being denied access to humanitarian aid in conflict situations in a shocking way around the world. This is Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Smeni. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has received a telephone call from his brother, President of the occupied state of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, who expressed his gratitude and thanks to Algeria, its president, people, and state for everything it has done to support the Palestinian cause, particularly the recent UN resolution. In his turn, the President of the Republic underlined Algeria's constant positions and its continued support for all international efforts aimed at bringing justice to the brotherly Palestinian people and to enable them to recover their legitimate rights. The two presidents agreed on a visit by the Palestinian head of government and Minister of Foreign Affairs to Algeria after the Eid al-Fitr celebration. In implementation of the decisions that culminated in the phone call yesterday between the two presidents, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, today held a phone call with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates, Mr. Mohammed Mustafa. On this occasion, Mr. Attaf renewed his warm congratulations to Mr. Mohammed Mustafa on his appointment as Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of Palestine, expressing his aspiration to work closely with him to serve the Palestinian cause and achieve the national project closely related to it. Today's phone call, or today's telephone conversation, is a follow-up to the implementation of what Presidents Abdelmajid Tebboune and Mahmoud Abbas agreed upon regarding the necessity of strengthening coordination between the Algerian and Palestinian parties regarding the preparation for the imminent dues related to the Palestinian issue at the level of the United Nations Security Council. Mr. Attaf has received a telephone call from the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonardo Santos Simão. On this occasion, the two parties exchanged views and analyses of the developments of the situation in the Sahel-Saharan region. The two sides also reviewed ways and prospects for strengthening coordination between Algeria and the United Nations with a view to helping to meet the common challenges facing the states and peoples of the region in the political, economic, development and security fields. Now, the Prime Minister Nadir El-Arbawi has chaired a government meeting devoted to a number of sectors, including the higher education and scientific research sector, setups or startups, and the examination of a preliminary draft law on the civil status as part of the implementation of the instructions of the President of the Republic concerning the improvement of the public service for the benefit of citizens and the national community abroad, notably by strengthening the regulatory framework relating to the digitalization of the civil status, according to a press release issued by the Prime Minister's office. As you followed in our top stories, Algeria celebrates today the International Day for Mine Awareness in line with its commitment to achieving the humanitarian objectives of the Ottawa Convention related to the ban on anti-personnel landmines, building on its pioneering role and experience in the fight against anti-personnel mines dating back to the Liberation Revolution. Mohammed Khatil has more.
On this occasion, the Minister of War Veterans and Rights Holders, Al-Eid Biga, will chair a conference at the National War Veteran Museum to commemorate this day under the theme Mining, a continuing crime against man and the environment. Immediately after independence, Algeria set about clearing the millions of mines planted by the French colonialists on its territory through a national strategy mobilizing enormous material and human resources, to which the National People's Army had actively contributed by clearing mined borders and removing explosive remnants, in parallel with efforts to provide health and socio-psychological care for mine victims in line with the national policy, given the depth of the psychological after effects. In this context, Algeria has succeeded in definitively eliminating mines inherited from the colonial era, thanks to the elements of the ANP, who have succeeded in clearing and destroying almost 9 million mines.
Algeria has firmly condemned the air attack targeting the premises of the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, according to a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad. Algeria vigorously denounces this criminal act, which constitutes a blatant violation of international laws and customs relating to the inviolability of diplomatic and consular missions, in addition to being a serious attack on the sovereignty of the Syrian Arab Republic, a brotherly country. In this respect, Algeria offers its sincere condolences to the families of the victims, assuring them of its compassion and wishes a speedy recovery to the injured. It also reaffirms its total solidarity with the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Syrian Arab Republic in the face of this despicable aggression, which risks escalating the situation and exacerbating insecurity and instability throughout the region. The Arab Interparliamentary Union has condemned in the strongest possible terms the Zionist attack on the premises of the Iranian consulate in Damascus last Monday, claiming numerous victims, which constitutes a blatant violation of Syrian sovereignty. In a press release signed by its chairman, Brahim Boughali, Speaker of the National People's Assembly, it said it followed with concern and indignation the Zionist attack against the premises of the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Cases of children being denied access to humanitarian aid in conflict situations continues to increase in a shocking way around the world, deplored the UN representative in charge of these issues. The latest annual report by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on the rights of children in conflict, published in June 2023, recorded 3,931 confirmed cases of humanitarian aid being denied to children from Gaza to Yemen, Afghanistan or Mali. More details with Said Bouhazi.
An exponential increase since 2019, the Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Children in Armed Conflict, Virginia Gamba, told the Security Council on Wednesday. And the data collected for the next 2024 report shows that we are on track to see a shocking increase in these incidents of denial of humanitarian aid around the world, she added, deploring the blatant disregard for humanitarian law. She said that these cases of denial of humanitarian access to children are linked notably to restrictions on humanitarian activities and movements, interference in humanitarian operations, and discrimination against aid beneficiaries, direct and indiscriminate attacks on civilian infrastructure, and humanitarian workers killed. She did not specify which countries would be most singled out in this respect in the 2024 report expected in June. The previous report showed that the denial of humanitarian access by the Zionist occupation forces in Gaza, with 1,861 cases, accounted for a significant part of the total. And the UN is constantly denouncing the restrictions on the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza since the start of the Zionist aggression against Gaza on 7 October 2023. As a result of the restrictions, children do not have access to nutritious food that is appropriate for their age or to medical services and have less than 2 to 3 liters of water a day, denounced before the Security Council Ted Chaiban, Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF. The consequences are clear, he added. Dozens of children have died of malnutrition and dehydration in recent weeks in the north of the Gaza Strip. Beyond Gaza, he also highlighted the threats to children's access to humanitarian aid in Sudan and Burma. The UN's annual report on children in conflict is broader in scope than access to humanitarian aid, listing the number of children killed and injured or attacks on hospitals and schools. It draws up a list of shame of the government forces and other armed groups responsible for these violations. For several years, NGOs have been calling for the Zionist entity to be added to this list.
The representative of the Algerian permanent mission to the UN ambassador Ammar Ben Jama has stressed during the UN Security Council briefing on children and armed conflict on the occasion of Palestinian Children's Day held on April 5th that the report of the special representative of the UN Secretary General for Children and Armed Conflict, Virginia Gamba, didn't include any information about the dire situation of the children of Gaza who are dying on a daily basis out of bombardments and out of malnutrition and starvation, as well as the lack of health care.
I have listened very carefully to the briefing made by Madame Virginia Gamba, and I have been astonished that not a single word have been said to the dire situation of the children in Gaza. The dire humanitarian situation in Gaza is a vivid example. The Israeli occupying power in Palestine has for months deliberately denied humanitarian access, leading to terrible humanitarian consequences, notably causing children to die from malnutrition, dehydration, starvation, and lack of health care. Those who will survive will be scared for life, unable to grow and develop as they would have had in a normal situation. Their dreams have been shattered.
Addressing the consequences of the denial of humanitarian access for children in the besieged Gaza Strip, the Algerian ambassador to the UN recalled the report issued by UNRWA, whereby it says that the Zionist aggression on Gaza has killed more children in a few months than in 4 years of conflict worldwide, pointed out that the international community and UN organizations bear full responsibility for the killings and sufferings of these innocent Palestinian children.
UNRWA reported that in Gaza, more children have been killed in recent months than in 4 years of conflict worldwide. Today, as we gather, children in many parts of the world continue to be victims of constraints on humanitarian aid, which in some cases aim to be extreme. This Council, including through its Working Group on Children and Armed Conflict, alongside the Office of the SRG for Children and Armed Conflict and the Monitoring and Reporting Mechanism, have a responsibility on the fate of children affected by war.
That was the representative of the Algerian permanent mission to the UN ambassador Ammar Ben Jama. More than
in Gaza pointed out that 7,000 people were under rubble or missing, and that 73% of those
more than 24,000 Palestinian women and children have been killed in the Zionist genocide of war against the Gaza Strip, which has been going on for 6 months, according to the media office in the besieged Palestinian enclave. The Zionist army has committed 2,922 massacres in the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October 2023, the Bureau reported in a statement, adding that these massacres have claimed the lives of 24,060 Palestinian women and children. Said Bougazi has more.
From Beirut, the Lebanese capital, Nathalie Boukli, UNRWA Deputy Commissioner General for Programs and Partnerships, urged the agency's partners to continue to support Palestinian refugees and launched an appeal for $415.4 million to support its chronically underfunded operations in these three countries. UNRWA has a long-standing humanitarian aid program to support Palestinian refugees. These funds will enable UNRWA to continue its food aid in cash and in kind, as well as its healthcare services and its education and technical and vocational training programs. According to the UN agency, despite growing needs, funding for UNRWA's emergency appeals for Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan has decreased in recent years, with a dramatic fall to just 27% coverage in 2023. In 2021, just over half of the funding was covered, while in 2022 this figure fell to 40%. Nathalie Boukli warned that UNRWA's overall financial situation remains precarious, especially given the challenges it has faced since the start of the war in Gaza. With significant funding shortfalls hampering its ability to implement its mandate, UNRWA will soon struggle to maintain the level of humanitarian assistance it can provide, and that level is already at a minimum. At a time when the Palestinian refugee community is facing even greater existential challenges in the region, UNRWA's role has never been more vital, she underlined.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has said that the organization is horrified by the killing of employees from World Central Kitchen in Gaza this week, reiterating that an effective and transparent mechanism for deconfliction must be put in place to ensure humanitarian convoys can move safely. Let's listen to him.
WHO is horrified by the killing of 7 humanitarian workers from World Central Kitchen in Gaza on Monday. The work they were doing was saving lives, providing food to thousands of starving people. Their cars were clearly marked and should never have been attacked. Delivering humanitarian aid in Gaza is already difficult and dangerous. Hungry people will go unfed because World Central Kitchen has quite understandably paused its operations. WHO has been working with World Central Kitchen in Gaza to deliver food to health workers and patients in hospitals. This horrific incident highlights the extreme danger under which WHO colleagues and our partners are working and will continue to work.
That was WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Next, a program on Abu Bakr, who is a companion of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him.